No tie, Paul. Like I was expecting you would wear a tie.
Well, I thought of it, but then
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Little out of character.
Yeah. Yes. Just kidding. Yeah.
I'm the online guy. So shall we hit admit all?
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. Great to see some faces. Very nice in these times of isolation to see other teachers. We're going to be admitting a few more teachers here as we wait for everyone to arrive. Vesna and I are excited to talk to you today and to have you here, so thank you very much for joining us. We'll wait a few moments to make sure everyone's here.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I almost forgot that we have a workshop at 12. So Paul reminded me, hey, we need to to admit our participants. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have everyone here. Great to see teachers from coast to coast to coast. When we get started in earnest here, we'll ask everyone to turn off their cameras and microphones. We are recording the session, and this will be posted on YouTube probably by tomorrow. But for privacy purposes, it's best if everyone turns off their cameras and microphones. If you'd like to ask questions during the session, you can feel free to use the chat function down at the bottom of your screen. You can open the chat and type questions there or comments. There'll be a couple of times we ask you to type something in the chat during the session. We're going to let a few more people in here just while we're waiting to get started. Hopefully everybody's warm out there wherever you are. I know the prairies are having a cold snap. Hopefully it's not too cold. Feel free to type in the chat and say hello and where you're from and what levels you're teaching or something like that. Okay. Well, it's 12:03, so maybe we should get started. We'll be letting people in as we go. Oh, great to see some names popping in there now. Gordana from Toronto, hello. I see Valerie. She knows what the weather's like here in BC today. We won't tell anyone else in Canada, though. Don't tell them that we saw flowers blooming on the way to work today. Oh, Calgary's freezing. Oh, no. Sunny Saskatoon, though. Markham. Oh, this is great. We really do have teachers from coast to coast. Great to see you, Maureen. Oh, you're here on time. We thought you were going to be late. Fantastic. Amira. Hello, Amira from Calgary, and Kevin from Calgary. See Sian in Vancouver. Hello. Oh, this is great.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to my department head and my colleagues who are here to support me. So thank you, Maureen, Cheryl, Lana, Valerie, and I don't know if I'm missing someone else. Thank you, guys. This is all group effort, and I'm just here to share our experience with you guys.
Well, thank you for that, Vesna. And while we're waiting for everyone, I wanted to say, Learn IT to Teach, teaching online. I started this over a decade ago when things were very different online. And this training is what has opened doors for me and opened opportunities for me and for my students. Canada is truly a digital country, and to settle here means you need to have these types of skills. Booking appointments, ordering pizza, finding community groups, you name it, it's all online. So I think that we're doing a real good service to the students, the clients, and also as teachers, we're learning new skills too. So I'm really pleased to be a part of the Learn IT to Teach team and working on Avenue. And as Vesna said, it is a team effort. There are, I think, 40 plus people across Canada working behind the scenes as mentors and developers and webmasters and managers and all kinds of things. So hats off to Jim and Rob. They're kind of at the helm of the ship. Kevin and John and Nancy and Pamela and Marike and Marjan, people all across the country helping teachers, helping students. So, and we want to welcome Vesna. Vesna's maybe not the newest, but one of the newest mentors. She's just joined our team here in British Columbia, and we're so happy to have her. Some of her videos, resources, the ideas she shared have been fabulous. So welcome, Vesna, and great to be working with you today.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul. I just wanted to add a little bit to what Paul has said, just so that you know where I'm coming from. So I started using EduLink with my face-to-face and blended classes in 2016 when the Learn IT to Teach training became available in BC. And prior to that, I had been using blogs at that time with my classes. And when I switched to Moodle, I thought, oh, it was so boring and not appealing until I started to learn more. And slowly, I started using more functions and tools, and I saw more possibilities to enhance my face-to-face and blended classes. And since April last term, I've been lucky to be able to support our teachers at Vancouver Community College as the resource coordinator and assistant department head. I am here not because I'm an expert. I can't tell you how many times I went to help um, live help and to talk to Paul. I'm here because I'm willing to share our experience and lessons learned when it comes to collaboration on Avenue.
Thank
So
you,
back
Vesna.
to you, Paul. Yeah,
Such a pleasure to have you part of the team. And thank you,
thank
everyone,
you.
for coming. I see there's 38 people in the room now, so let's get started for real. I'm going to share my screen, and we'll get our PowerPoint up here, and we'll go from the beginning. There we go. So this is our title screen, Collaboration Courses on Avenue. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming and joining Vesna and I today. Presentation summary, just quickly, we're going to talk about collaboration courses, what they are and how you can use them, how they can benefit your school or your service provider organization. We'll look at requesting one, enrolling teachers in the course, using it for communication and support, using it to collaborate and share resources. And during that part, we'll talk about some ways you can do that, and also to create a consistent look for your courses at your SPO, so they all have a consistency as students move through the levels. The session will be followed by a Q&A. We took the questions from the registration form. Thank you, everyone. If you do have new questions during the session, you can put them in the chat and we'll do our best to address those. Help and support. I always like to show this slide at the beginning just to remind everyone that there are two sites. LearnIT2Teach.ca is the public portal, and on that portal you can find the program information, resources for teachers, the newsletter. It has great resources in there and jobs and things like that. Live help, which I've just shut down so we could do this webinar. It's been ringing off the hook, but that's great. Really good to be able to help teachers. There's also support documents there to support you on Avenue and Stage 2 and Stage 3. And there's links to Twitter and YouTube as well, so you can find more resources there. On Avenue.ca, as hopefully many of you know, there are the teacher training stages, the exemplar course, the teacher dashboard where you can enroll students, the e-portfolio or binder, learner courseware that comes ready for you, and then of course the Avenue Teacher Only Forum where we share ideas and do our best to answer questions. So between the two sites, there's a lot of support out there, and hopefully we can make your online teaching experience successful. Outline just quickly for today, we're doing the introduction now. Then we're going to request a collaboration course. We're going to enroll teachers in the course. We'll talk about using it for communication and support and sharing resources. And at that point, we'll talk more in depth about the sharing cart block and the mass actions block as well. We're going to create a consistent look for courses at your SPO, and then we'll take your questions and answers. And at this point, we'd like to do a little poll. Vesna, would you like to introduce that?
Yes, thank you, Paul. So we have a couple of questions for you just so that we know who we have in the room. So um, the first question we would like to ask you is, how long have you been using EduLink and or Avenue? So please choose one.
Oh, this is
And
fun. These live polls, you can watch
And
it go.
the second question is, do you already have collaboration courses at your SPO? So please scroll down to answer both questions for us.
Fantastic, everyone. I'm seeing the numbers changing. Looks like everybody's already been on EduLink or Avenue. Oh, maybe some people haven't. There's a couple there. If you haven't been on EduLink or Avenue yet and you'd like to start the training, you can go to learnittoteach.ca and talk to the live help there about how to register. And looks like there's a good group of people here that have collaboration courses as well. Looks like the polling stopped, so I'm going to end that now. And I think we'll be able to see. I'm going to share the results. And if you can see that there, you'll see the numbers that came up. Quite interesting. Thank you to those with collaboration courses for coming today. Hopefully you have some ideas to share with us as well as hearing the ideas we have for you. And looks like a lot of new teachers. That's fantastic. So a lot of people probably starting up with the pandemic, I would imagine. We had a big increase. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for sharing your thoughts there and your experiences. I'm going to stop sharing that now. And we'll close that. And we'll go back into the share screen. Share. Okay, thanks, everyone.
So before we look at this slide, maybe you can add some more reasons why do you have collaboration courses, or why would you like to have some? So please write your answers in the chat box.
Don't be shy, everyone. Remember, it's a community of collaboration through Tutela, through Avenue, through collaboration courses. There's so many ways that we can help each other and reduce prep time for everyone right across the country. So if you do have ideas, please type them in the chat. Okay, I see. To share resources with colleagues, for sure. Share resources, borrow resources.
Yeah.
Resources.
Yes.
Many heads think together.
Yeah.
Think better together. Nice.
Yeah. And you know, we're so lucky that we have our PBLA compatible modules. And if we can keep them coming, that would be really awesome. Yeah, to save time. Yes, to help each other. Yes.
Oh, that's a
Thank
nice
you.
one there. Keeping connected with the Avenue team
Yes.
within
Yeah.
their organization,
Yeah.
sort of an in-house support group.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Thank you.
As a teacher of low-level learners, it would be valuable for me to be able to share resources with other teachers at the same level, of course. Yeah.
Right.
Share activities.
Maybe,
Consistency.
yes, consistency. Can you show that slide, Paul?
Yeah, we will.
And
We'll go
maybe
there
we
now.
can. So I think you've mentioned all of the things that are on this slide. I just wanted to add, talking with some of my colleagues, remember that when you have new teachers, you might want to have something for them. Also, if teachers change levels, you will have something for them in the future. If we after the pandemic, when we go back, if we need to offer more blended classes, you will have something for your teachers. So all these reasons are very important. And maybe in, I don't know how long, a couple of years, like if you have a customized course for your level, maybe that can be your template for that level. So a lot of possibilities. And the idea is create that space for your teachers, like in the movie Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. And maybe we can go to the next slide, and Paul, over to you.
I just wanted to add, if you tell them there are ready-made resources, they will come.
Oh, yes.
I remember when I
That's
started
the
my
best.
first, when I started my first link job, back when we could go places in person, I remember being sat down and shown the binder that had all the information for new teachers, and that kind of thing can now be done online through a collaboration course. So requesting a collaboration course, how do you go about doing that? It's very simple. Just contact your mentor and you can request a collaboration course or courses for your school. I've seen a couple of SPOs that have decided to have a sort of link literacy through link 4 collaboration course and a link 5 to 7 collaboration course. just to keep things separate for the teachers of higher or lower levels. That's really up to you, though. And then a collaboration course will be set up for you. One teacher at your school will be given manager permission in the course to enroll teachers. As teachers on Avenue, teachers can enroll students and non-editing teachers. To be able to enroll a teacher or to change a role to teacher, you need to have manager permission. So what we do is we give the teacher who's been identified as sort of the lead on the project at your school, manager permission for the shared course so that they are able to enroll users and change their role to teacher. These collaboration courses wouldn't have students in them, so it would be a group of teachers in the course. Just for an example so you can see what that looks like, this is a sample from one of my courses, and you can see that I'm in the course and Beverly Davies and other teachers in the course. And Maria Gupta's is actually a sample student that the mentors use, but in this course, I used my manager permission to change her role to teacher. So you can enroll users into the course, and then the person who's been given manager permissions can change their role to teacher so that they have editing abilities and can move things around and add resources. The enroll button is also found on the participants page. That can be used to enroll users who already have an account. So if a student or a teacher already has an account on Avenue, you can go to the participants page to enroll them there rather than using the teacher dashboard. The next part today, we're going to talk about using the course for communication and support. And I'm going to turn it over to Vesna here.
Mhm. Thank you, Paul. Just before I talk about what you see on this slide, I just want to give you a little bit more about our context. So we've had blended classes since 2015. So the teachers who have been teaching those classes, they were ready when we moved online. However, they were also overwhelmed. So you can imagine how the teachers who didn't use EduLink courses at that time with their students, how everybody felt. So everybody was really overwhelmed. The teachers who had the training, they had to uh, kind of freshen up, like they had to go back and start using their courses again but by September 2020 all of them were using courses on Avenue. So we migrated to Avenue in September, and we are a mid-size provider. So what I'm going to talk about now, I'll also show you demonstrate. So I'll just go quickly through a few slides and then demonstrate what I have just what you can just see now. So I'll talk about using the zero topic, using the blocks, and using the topics in order to communicate and collaborate. So what is important is that you have that you enable your teachers to let the other teachers know that a resource has been added. And also, we would like to remind the teachers where they can find help. We don't use Big Blue button, but we added it here just to show you in case you do use it. And also, if you don't use a Big Blue button, maybe you want to try with your teachers. So you just go in and invite another teacher, and you don't have to send a link to your Zoom room and so on. So that is great. Can you move to the next slide, please? Yeah. And then in terms of what you can do with the blocks, these are some ideas. You can read what the slide says, and I'll be showing you. So anything that is relevant to your instructors and your organization. And next slide, please. You can also use blocks to share links to thematic resources online, and I'll show that to you. We use Padlets, and I'll show you how we use them. Next slide, please. And also, when it comes to the topics, you can, if you have some instructional videos for teachers, how to do things on Avenue. I know we have great and a lot of instructions, but you know how some people work better when they see things. And I'll show you another suggestion. So I think can you move to the next slide? Oh yeah,
Yes.
so now I will demonstrate now. So let me share my screen. I'm going to show you link 7.8 shared. We started when we had our first blended classes back in 2016, 15 and 16. We wanted just one shared course for levels of 5, 6, 7, and 8. But we realized my teachers were telling me that it becomes messy. It's hard to divide, like to know which level, which topics go for which level. So my teacher asked me to request one shell for each level. We have 7 and 8. We have one Moodle shell, and for 1 and 2, we have one Moodle shell, just because we don't have that many classes at that level. So this is what I have already mentioned. There are so many options in Moodle, so this is just one idea, and I'm sure the guys who already have collaboration courses, they're doing things differently, and that's perfectly fine. We had, before our teachers had the Learn IT to Teach training, we also had some resources on our Moodle at VCC. And of course, Tutela and real world assessment task bank. And this is what I said about using Padlets. I'll just go to one. And this is what we have, for example, for important days, special days, and also holidays in for this term. And what is neat about Padlets, you can everybody can add, like if you do that in the settings, everybody can add to them. Sorry, I went to another course. So this is what we have here. One of our teachers has shared his Kahoot games with us, so we have them here, and very important for a lot of levels. I mean, especially lower levels, our students have problems with digital literacy and computer skills. So we compiled some resources for them, and some, PD opportunities, and how to make badges. So this shell is basically a teacher resource. And then what else we said about topics? Um, you can maybe have some resources to help the teachers access instructions how to create or how to assess in Avenue. And of course, we have our topics here, and our teachers add to them. Our group, 7 and 8 teachers, they're very active, and they contribute a lot. It's not the same for every level, but it depends how comfortable the teachers feel. But wherever they are, we want to meet them where they are, and go from there. Everybody's learning, and it's very hard. It's like I always repeat this. It's like flying the plane while learning how to fly the plane. So it's overwhelming, and teaching online ideally means here is your course, now you just teach online, but we are constantly having to create new material because we're needs-based, so that is not sustainable. I think that's all I wanted to say about this. Let me see if I missed anything else. Yes, and on one of the slides, if your teachers have some favorite H5P activities that are on Tutela, or units, you can download them here and so that they can just take them over to their courses. So maybe if I'll stop sharing and maybe you can just show the next slide, Paul. And it's about a mass action block. So this is quite a this can save you a lot of time. And maybe to the next slide. So it's called sharing card block, and I'll demonstrate how you can use it. And you can add everything that is on your shared shells to your courses, or if you are teaching 2 classes and you have 2 shells, you can move the content from one to another course. So everything except blocks. So I'm going to demonstrate now. So I'll start sharing. And okay, so I'm still in this shared Moodle shell, and one of our teachers added listening assessment that I would like to have in my own shell. So first of all, I need to make sure that this block is here. So I'm turning editing on, of course.
Vesna, I think you need to share your screen. Sorry.
Oh, I forgot.
No, no worries. That's okay. And just while Vesna is
Thank
doing
you.
that, I've thrown the link up in the chat where you can find the sharing cart block how-to, and Vesna is going to show you that now.
So I am in our shared shell. The editing is on, and I clicked on the navigation drawer. I'm scrolling all the way down so that I can see add a block. So the blocks are in the alphabetical order, so I'm going to the sharing cart block. And I think about this as going shopping, and I love it, even though I don't like shopping. But this is such time saver. We can save a lot of time. Okay, so here is my block. I'll move it a little bit up because I would like to get something from one of the courses. So the teacher said that he added one assessment in this block, so health, diet, and body. So you see here is the shopping basket, and next to it there is a square. So this square is here because I also have the mass action block, which here you can see here. So that's why I have this square. So I don't want to click there. I want to click on the shopping cart. And it's asking me to confirm that I want this activity to be there. And I'll just go to the shopping cart. I forgot where it is to make sure that it is actually there. Is it? Oh, it's all the way at the bottom. Okay, so it's right there. Now I'm going to go to my course, and first I need to add the shopping cart, the sharing cart, and you do that only once. You don't have to do that all the time. I wanted to show you how to do that, so that's why I'm doing it. So I'm turning editing on, scrolling all the way down to add a block, and clicking on sharing cart. Here it is, and voila, my activity is there. And you can see that I can delete it if I want to, and I can copy to course. So I want to copy this activity to my course. So click And you can see that at the bottom of each section, you have this box and an arrow inside this box. So I have created a topic, health and wellness, where I would like this activity to be. So I'm going to click inside this box on the arrow. And let's check. There you go. This quiz is there. And if I want, I can edit the questions, or change the settings and give it to my students. I think that's all that I want to say at this point about the sharing card block. Paul, do you have anything to add, or maybe we can move to the next slide?
That's excellent. Thank you. The only thing I would add there, I'll just share my screen now. I'll share that. And I'm going to go into a course that I have. Can you see my link 5-6 course there?
Yes.
No? Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
So let me move that. If I scroll down, oh, I'm sorry, my sharing cart block is not on. To turn editing on, you can't see the sharing cart block unless editing is turned on, and students never see the sharing cart block. So when you've added it to your course, if you find it's not there, like I just did, click turn editing on. And now that editing has been turned on, as Vesna pointed out, as I scroll down, you'll see these different options appearing here. One is for the sharing cart. The other, this is for the mass action block, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. You can see my sharing cart block is here now that I've turned editing on. And I just wanted to talk about this last bottom part where it says copy section. I can click on this and choose any topic section in the course. And then if I select one and click on copy section, it will copy the entire section into the sharing cart. The reason I mentioned that is that I would caution you about doing that. I tested it and my section had a lot of material in it, and it took a good 5 minutes for it to populate the sharing cart. And that's a long time. And I know that teachers don't like to waste their time. So if you're doing more than maybe 5, 6, or 7 activities at a time, I'd suggest using the import function for larger sections. Also, as Vesna mentioned, if you want to move blocks from course to course, you will have to use the import function instead. We're not going to talk about import today, but there'll be a webinar about that coming soon, I'm pretty sure. And if not, you can always check with your mentor or come to the live help to get more help with that. But yes, sharing cart's fantastic. Thank you for showing us that, Vesna. And just to remind everyone, this box, or sorry, the sharing cart is for the sharing cart, and the box beside is for the max actions, which we're going to talk about again. Not to be confused with activity completion checkboxes. So just to draw your attention to that, everyone, this one with the check mark is about activity completion. This little checkbox will check things to use the mass actions block, and then the shopping basket is for the sharing cart. And just to demonstrate what I mean, if I turn editing off in the course and scroll back down, you'll see that nothing's visible now. I'll open up a section here, and only the activity completion boxes remain. So when editing is turned off, your activity completion boxes will still be there. But then if I turn editing back on, because I have the sharing cart, I will get the basket. And because I have the mass actions block, I will get the little square to make selections, the check boxes to make selections. So I'll just wait here while this loads and you'll see them pop up again. So here they are again, visually there, and down below, you can see the 3 different boxes that are here. So just to keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to, where am I? There's too many tabs going on here. I've got these video screens in the way. Let me get that out of my way. Sorry, everyone. I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint. That was the sharing cart block, and there are resources for that. Next, we're going to talk about the mass actions block. This is a very useful tool for performing actions upon multiple resources or activities at once, as opposed to doing them one at a time. That's really helpful when you're getting your course ready at the beginning, sort of setting things up and moving things around. And like the sharing cart block, the mass action block is not visible to students. It's only visible to teachers when editing is turned on. And we do have a help file for that, so we can take a look at that in a moment. I'm going to get out of the PowerPoint here now and go back to my browser. For the mass actions block, very much like Vesna had showed us before, you can turn editing on in your course and then scroll down to the very bottom of the navigation drawer, select add a block. And if you haven't already added it, you can add the mass actions block to your course. I already have it here so that it's ready to go for the demonstration today. Now, just to give an example of some things that you could do with this mass action block, I'm going to go into a different course that I have. I'm going to go into my sandbox course. This is a course that I use for examples of different things. And the mass action block, I believe, is in this course too. So I will just wait a moment while that loads. Okay, this has been set up sort of as an example for a collaboration course as well. You could add your school's logo to all kinds of different places, put it at the top, add a video, put it in the blocks on the side. But then down below this, we're going to find here in my course, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong course. How embarrassing. Oh no, here it is. Okay, I've got this stuff here in this first section, useful things, and then I've got a few test things here that I want to use for today's example. So I'm going to scroll down the side and I'm going to find my mass actions block. It's a little further down, so as Vesna showed you, you can just move it up the course page. I'm going to slide it up there so it's right near what I'm going to be working with. I'm going to drop it here. Now that I've got my mass actions block where I can see it, it doesn't need to be there, but it's just helpful for the example today. I'm going to remind you that the checkboxes beside the shopping cart, if you have the sharing cart, are the ones that you will want for the mass action. So I'm going to select a few different things here. I'm going to select these 3 things that I don't want there. And there's a few things I can do now. Now that I've selected them in the mass actions block, I can outdent them, move them left, indent them, move them right. I can hide all 3 of them at once. I can hide them and make them available, which is a very interesting feature that's new. This is where you can create what are called stealth activities. If I hide these and make them available, what that means is they will be invisible to the students on the course page, but if I supply a link for the students, I can then have them open it from a different place. So for example, if I had a whole bunch of quizzes here and I didn't want them taking up room on my main course page, I could create a block on the side where I could put links to those activities and then hide them on the course page, but leave them available. And then the links would take students to those pages rather than having it clutter up the page. You could also set up a page resource and fill that with links to the activities that you have hidden, but still available. I think we'll cover that in the webinar one day coming soon. That's a great one too. I could also show these 3 activities that I've selected, and I could delete them. So I'm going to delete them. Let's do that first. I'm going to click on delete, and it's going to ask me to confirm that to make sure I want to delete these 3 things. I'm going to say, yes, I do want to delete them. And then a moment's going to pass while the page loads, and I've had time to think, and oh no, why did I delete those? I need those. Good thing we have the recycle bin. So I'm going to demonstrate that next, just for anyone who hasn't seen it before. Anytime you delete an activity or a resource in your course, notice it takes some time to delete this many things. It's deleting them one by one, going through all the material that were in those H5Ps in the quiz and deleting them from the course. But anytime you delete something, an activity or resource in your course, you have 7 days that you can retrieve them from the recycle bin. Now that it's done the deletion, we'll scroll down just a little bit here and you can see that they're now gone. So they're not there anymore. They've been deleted. But as I said, whoops, I actually want those. So I'm going to scroll up to the top of my course page, click on the course editing menu bar, get the drop down menu here. And when you have deleted something, you will find the recycle bin here. If you have not deleted anything, it probably won't show. But for 7 days, I can click on that recycle bin and I can restore these things that I just deleted. You can see them here. They're down at the bottom, and I can click on this arrow to restore them, or I can permanently delete them. I'm going to restore this one. Test author sharing cart. and it has been restored. Go down, going to restore this one too. Excellent, and it has been restored. It's taking a bit longer because it's a quiz and it's a little bit bigger. Something to remember is that anything on your course page that has data, gigabytes, megabytes, anytime you open your course page, everything on the course page has to load. So the more things there are in a course, the longer they're going to take to load. The same is true of the content bank. There's been a lot of questions about the content bank takes forever to load, and it's true it does, but what you have to remember is that while it's loading, every video, every audio file, every image, every piece of text in every H5P in your course is loading. So it does take time, and the more H5Ps and the more multimedia activity types you put into them, the longer and longer that content page is going to take to load. Frustrating, I know, but it's sort of the way it works, and I'm a little amazed that we even have something like the content bank to be able to do what we do. So now that I've used the recycle bin, you'll see that these three activities have been restored and they're back in their places. But I still don't want them there. So I'm going to select these three things, and this time in the mass action block, let's try indent. I'm going to click on indent. The page is going to reload, and all three of those activities will have moved right one space or one tab if you're using your keyboard. Handy, very handy if you're doing multiple things and you want to change the look of your course. You can see they're now indented to that side. I could do as many activities as I wanted. You could click everything in the course and then have it indented, outdented, hidden, any of these options. So this is why it's the mass actions. I'm going to select those three again one more time. This time now, rather than using any of these options that we have here, I'm going to select Move to Section. And this opens a menu that shows all the sections in my course, and I'm going to put it into the At Home in the Community in the World, just for the example. So I click on that, and now these three activities will be moved to the At Home in the Community in the World section, which is right below here. So when the page reloads, it will take a moment. I'm sorry about that. It's sort of the time it takes for these things to process. I'll scroll down. You'll see that they're gone from this section, and they are now at the bottom when it loads, at the bottom of this section here. So very easily moving things around the course like that. I'm going to select them one more time. I'm just going to select something simpler this time. Actually, those are taking too long to load. So this time I'm going to select this PDF here. It could be anything. PDF's not a great example, actually. Let me select something else. Let me select forum, general discussion forum. If you have a forum or a quiz or an assignment or any kind of activity that your students have done, so there are submissions, forum posts, anything like that in there, and you'd like to use that activity again, but you'd sort of like a blank copy, what you can do is you can duplicate it. So here in the editing menu beside this forum, I can choose to duplicate. This will give me the forum again with all of the content removed, just the basic description and the forum itself. So it's a way of sort of refreshing an activity. If you have multiple activities that you'd like to do that with, you can select them here for the mass actions block, and then rather than choosing move to a section, I can choose duplicate to a section. And if I do that, duplicate to a section, I'll choose the section it's already in because I selected it and chose duplicate to the section, welcome to your online class. In just a moment, we'll see the copy of it will appear. So the course is refreshing itself with that change having been made. I'll scroll down and now you see general discussion copy. It's a duplicate and all of the posts in the forum would have been removed, only leaving the forum itself. So the mass action block is fantastic. It's really an amazing tool. There's so many different things you can do with it, and you can do these things all at once. The last thing to show here is the top. I should have shown this first, I guess. You could select all, that's everything in the course, or you could select all in a section. So if I choose welcome to your online class, that's going to add the check marks for me to that entire section, as you can see here down the center where the check boxes are. And then I can do any of these actions now that I have those selected. And I can also click on deselect all, and that will remove those checks as well. So I think that's enough about the mass action block. I'm going to stop my share and we'll go back into the PowerPoint. Get that, which I shouldn't have done. PowerPoint there, and boom. Great slide. Creating a consistent look. Vesna, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you, Paul. I can't tell you how great it is to have these two features. Amazing. Anyway, whatever I'm going to tell you and what you will see here, I'll also demonstrate, so I won't spend a lot of time on the slides. I'll show you, if we have time, I can show you quickly how to upload your organization logo to your course. And also how to, I mean, not how to, but I'll show you some blocks that we added. And actually before I have to go back a little bit in time. So before this before the sharing cart was available, we used to import activities and resources between courses. And then we said, okay, maybe we need one new shared shell that will be used as a template that will help the teachers kind of see how their course could look, like how to improve design, because at the beginning, we had long topics or no topics and all. So everything was in the 0 section. And the teachers were saying, okay, we want to enhance our course. We want it to look a little bit better. So this is why we have this course. And again, the teachers, it's up to them to take whatever they want from that course and add to their courses. So I'll show you these things. And next slide, please. And you can also, you know how our courses come with the orientation to online learning topic and with orientation to PBLA. You can customize those topics as well, and encourage teachers and show how they can use folders, subfolders, the page, book modules, and weekly topics in their courses. Of course, there are so many options, and maybe people have some other preferences, but it's good to have an example. So that's how the template is different. So I'm going to share screen now and show you some of these examples. So you can see the logo we have, and I'll show you where you can add that. So I'll just go to our template and notice that it says do not edit. This happens. A teacher likes something that is here and thinks that this is their course, and they start editing the template. When that happens, there is a bit of work to be done, but we are saying it's good for the teachers to do that, to use this course, and it doesn't matter. We can fix everything that is all the mistakes. What is important that we benefit from, something like this. So that's why we have this as a separate course, because in the shared shells, everything is organized by topics, and here we can do it a little bit differently. You also see at the top, you see the information. So this is a table in the general, in the zero section. Creating a table is finicky, so I needed help with this to make it look the way it looks now. Then in the block section, we have a block with some information that will take our students to some resources on VCC Moodle. Some teachers have a lot of teachers are using ESL library, at Puzzle, Kahoot, and so on. So, they can add a link to their classes on these tools to take their students there. We have, again, the help with computer skills and literacy blog there, and some RSS feeds. A lot of options here, and it becomes too much because teachers don't have time to go to their shell, to the shared shells, to the template, where is what. So, it is overwhelming, and it is a lot, and I know that some teachers uh, don't have time to know what is where, and but it is there, and when they need it, they can go to it. You can add accessibility block, and you can make, you see how you can make everything look bigger, the font. um, Especially if you have lower level students, we have useful websites, and the teachers can add their favorite websites. So a lot, like more than one teacher needs. Um, some other RSS feed blocks and so on. So I'm just showing you what is possible, but that doesn't mean everybody has all these blocks, but just as an idea, more as an idea. And we also, you can see that we added some explanations, because sometimes it's not clear what the differences are between the announcements and the discussion forum in the zero section, and they are important for the teachers and students to know. And then, as I said, orientation to online learning. And at this point, I just want to ask Paul, like, please remind me, I don't know what time it is, but if we, maybe I can just shorten the presentation for the sake of time. So we said that we have orientation to online learning section. And I just wanted to show you one example of the book module. So this is something that is really related to our organization. And instead of having a Word file, a PDF file, a Word file, we have a book, and you can see the pages here. So this is one way of shortening the section. So that's one example I wanted to show you. And another example, and notice that how it's different when I have the navigation drawer on, how it changes, the view changes. Then you can use, for example, you can create a survey. We use Zoom, so you can create a survey for the teachers, and then when they add this survey to their courses, they can make changes. We have some, and this is, you can see, for different levels, so the teachers can take what they want in their level. And I'll just show one, for example, Zoom tips, maybe for this level. This is a PDF. Of course, you can use H5P, the H5P module, to do something like this. At that time, it all depends how much time the teachers have, and do you have a designated person who can develop resources like these. So that's a big question, because we cannot expect from our teachers to to work on this and teach and develop assessments and so on. So if we are to have more blended classes, IRCC, and this is my opinion, IRCC will have to make sure that every provider has money, and there is a position for an online developer or a coordinator, or someone who can do this.
Here, here,
Because,
here, here.
yes, yeah. So there is slippage, and if they expect us to do this work, they need to make it possible for us to invest time. So another thing you can do, possibly you want to see what kind of abilities, technical abilities your students have, and you want to do that at the beginning of your course. So, what kind of equipment do they have? Um, do they have space? Do they have internet? The internet? Do they know how to use? Do they have an email address and so on? You can also do that by creating a Google form before you even, see them. So a lot of possibilities. In terms of the orientation to portfolio-based language assessment topic, it's there already in your course. And this is just a note to the teachers. So these resources that are also on Tutela were developed by Toronto Catholic District School Board, and they were developed before the pandemic. So they were made to be used in face-to-face or blended classes. So not all the activities are as useful, but there are quite a few that you can choose to make visible to your students. And what we also added are some labels, because yes, there are labels: language companion, e-portfolio, um, biography, needs assessment, but it's not clear to our students what we mean by that. So we added some explanations, and if a teacher wants and thinks that this is a good explanation, they can just add it to their courses. Yeah, so all these elements of the PBLA. Also, our lead teachers have created some PowerPoints that we made available. And I forgot to say, so yeah, and we have also some videos that a few teachers created to help their students navigate Avenue. And this is a problem, especially for the lower levels. And something we also have done, and I will show you an example. I'll just stop share, and I want to open this document that I would like to share, and then we can share this with you. So at the beginning of each term, you can create a kind of a scavenger hunt type of activity to help your students become familiar. And you can introduce your course and have some questions about the course content, about the blocks, about how to communicate with the teachers and so on. So that's another option, or create a video. So basically to give multiple ways for the students to become familiar with the course. And I think that's all I wanted to say for now.
Thank you,
Uh,
Vesna.
yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm going to share my screen again. Thank you so much for showing all that to us. That was really, really a great example, and VCC has gone above and beyond to support their teachers. So really appreciate your showing that. There was a question in the chat: is there a course that's ready for us to have and edit? These collaboration courses are something that you set up yourself. So when you request a collaboration course from your mentor and it is set up for you, it's a blank course. There is nothing in it. I think there's an announcements forum, and that's the only thing it comes with. It's up to you at the school, to the teachers, to the administrators, whoever can be involved in it, to start adding resources to it. What Vesna is showing you there today is what they have done at their school at Vancouver Community College. It would be up to the SPO or to the teachers in the school to be adding things to it to share with each other. So just to make that clear. Now that said, I know there's a ton of stuff on Tutela, and if you wanted to get in contact with other SPOs, I'm sure there would be ways to share resources. Just to say, I know, Vesna, you have somewhere else to be. Right now it is 1 o'clock, but I think we're going to keep going because we have just a few more things to do. The next thing in the PowerPoint here was just this other example that we've already seen today of what a sort of consistent look could be like for a school if they wanted to create something like this. I wanted to draw your attention to the courseware help block too. It does say Avenue help on it, but as with anything on the site, you can change it. You can take that word out and you can put your school logo in there to highlight the courseware help block with your logo below it instead of ours. So remember that everything is customizable and tailorable to your situation or the way that you would like it to be. We put these here just to remind everyone, sort of towards the end. The only thing that is constant is change, and that's probably not true more anywhere than in the Link program. Link is full of change. Does anyone remember Elsa? I don't know, but lots of change, and it's going to keep coming. And I get a lot of people on the live help saying to me that uh, this is so much to learn, and I do understand that, and I agree. But it's learning for all of us. Technology is always evolving. There's always upgrades coming, new features available. H5P was like a dream 10 years ago. It was like a dream that we had, and now it's a reality. But we have to learn how to use it. So just to remember that when you're working online, technology is always changing, and so it's a continuous process. It does get easier as you go, but everyone is learning all the time. Teamwork divides the task and multiplies the success. We saw that in the chat, all the great ideas that you suggested today and everything that Vesna has shown us. Um, if I was working in Link in Vancouver, I'd want to be working at ISS of BC or Mosaic or Success or VCC, where they've done so much to support the teachers with their online content and courses. So hats off to the pioneers in the field, and hopefully we can all catch up. Questions and answers. There were some questions from the
Paul, can I
registration.
just, sorry, just
Yeah.
to add that when the teachers need space, they need time, and the providers need money, more money to make this happen. So this cannot happen overnight. So it's a process, and the teachers need support. And if there is support, there will be collaboration. If there is time and money, there will be more collaboration. So that's very important. Thank you, Paul. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. And,
Yeah.
and thank you for adding that. Really important to have a voice, to speak as one. All the Link teachers and administrators working together. There was a survey put out about the fiscal year on the Teachers Only Forum. If you can participate in any of those kinds of surveys that come along, all of these things get funneled back to the funder just to show them again and again how much good we're doing and how much it takes to do that good. So appreciate that, and that's a great thing to mention. That this is going to take support from all aspects of the Link field working together to make it happen. So for the questions and answers, I haven't looked at the chat in a moment, but these are the ones from the registration form. Um, Someone wanted to know how to have us all work on one resource and then move it to our own course and still be able to edit further in order to customize it to our class. That's a possibility if you use the sharing cart or the import function to bring something from a collaborative course into your own course. Any of the Moodle activities and resources you can edit once they're in your course and make them how you want them to be for your students, with the one exception of H5P. H5P is a little particular in that if someone creates an H5P on Avenue, they become the author of that on Avenue, and only they can edit it. So if you use the sharing card or import to bring an H5P into your course that another teacher made, you won't be able to edit it unless you do this little workaround trick that I'm going to show you in a moment. Just before that, though, I want to read through the other questions here so I can then share my screen to show you how the answers are kind of working. The content bank takes a long time to load. I addressed that earlier, and it's true of a course page as well. The more you have in the content bank or in your course, the longer it's going to take to load those pages. Just remind yourself, though, that these are amazing multimedia activity types that do incredible things we could only dream of a few years ago. So the fact that it takes a while to load is frustrating, but it's just the fact of there's a lot of gigabytes of information that need to be loaded up onto that page to allow you to be able to edit them. We are working on increasing the server space, which should help in reducing that time, but just to remember what's actually happening when you open that content bank. Every single one of those activities and everything inside them all has to load. Can we get a notification when students do their homework? That question, it depends on the activity type. If it's a forum, you can subscribe and get notifications of forum posts. If it's a quiz or an assignment, you can set things up in the settings to have it notify you when there's work that's been done. Some activity types allow this and some activity types don't. So I would suggest looking deeper into the activity types that you're using to see what's available to you in terms of notifications. How do I reduce the massive content in my courseware that appears every time I go into my course? Can I hide that from myself? There's a few ways you can sort of make things disappear for yourself, but they are still there. So in terms of loading time, it will still take some time. But we'll look at a couple of things in a moment here to help you to reduce the content that appears every time you open your course. So with that in mind, I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to address those two questions. Vesna, it is 1:06, so please, if you do need to go, just let me know when you need to go.
Yeah, it's okay. I have time until
Okay.
1:20. I mean, yeah, 1:20.
Thank you very much.
There was a question. I don't know if I answered it. So our teacher is Kevin. He said that he set up a course and they have been using it as a collaboration course so that he could help teachers get up to speed. He enrolled the teachers. They went through how to set up quizzes and so on. And if I request, he's asking, if I request a collaboration course, is it pretty much the same as Avenue courseware without the preloaded sections?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. The only thing that's missing is all of the courseware content that we would provide in a teacher's course. It's a blank shell, but the add an activity and resource link is still there, and you can still add any of the activity types that you would like into the course. No problem there. Good question. Thank you, Vesna. That's okay? Excellent. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again then. I just wanted to show you these last couple of things quickly. I'll share my screen. I'm going to get out of the PowerPoint and go back to here. Just one thing really quickly. I'm going to go, I think, to a different course. I'm going to go into my 5-6 course. I'll go into there. The reason I'm opening my 5-6 course is I'd just like to show something that I think is a fantastic feature or thing you can do in your course, and that's having a sample student in your course. If you have a second email address, preferably a real email address, you can enroll yourself in your course as a student, and then I can have my editing page open here. This is in a Firefox browser, and I can go into Chrome. I'm switching now to Chrome, and you'll see here I'm logged in as Maria Guptas, who is a sample student in this course. So here's what it looks like for Maria Guptas. You'll see here. If I go back to Firefox, here's what I see in my teacher role with editing turned on. All these hidden things are not visible to Maria. So underneath the class chat, she sees nothing. Just to demonstrate what I mean, the value of having a sample student, if I was to show this activity right now, I'll show it. And then if I want to check without switching roles and without logging in or out, I can go back to my Chrome browser. This is Maria, my student. I hit refresh on the page, so it reloads, and you'll see that that change is now visible to Maria. You also notice over here, she's got accessibility and then the weather in Duncan. If I go back in my course where I'm a teacher and I have the editing turned on, accessibility, weather in Duncan, sharing cart, and mass actions block. So for the student, those things are not there. It's a great way to not have to log in and out or not have to switch roles and turn editing on, turn editing off. If you have one browser like Firefox or Edge or Safari with your teacher role, you can have another browser with your sample student logged in and be able to look at things as you make the changes. So that's interesting. Now, the next thing that happens here, as I said, if I was to use the sharing cart or the import function to move this H5P that I created into my other course, I would be able to edit it because I was the author of it in Avenue. On another browser here, please note up here, this is Paul Carter. I'm logged in as Paul Carter, teacher. In my Edge browser, I'm logged in as Beverly Davis, teacher. Now, If Beverly Davis was to go to a collaboration course and was to copy that H5P, wherever it went, it's gone, copy that H5P, it's in the PBLA section, into the sharing cart, turn editing on. Now my sharing cart will become visible. If she was to use the sharing cart or the import feature to move an H5P that I had created into another course, she would not have editing permission to be able to change it. I see what's happening here. I've got a section chosen. I need to have my whole course. That's why I'm not finding what I was looking for. Here it is. I'm sorry. So if she uses the sharing cart or import to move it into her other course, she won't be able to edit it there. The way to get around that is to imagine that you're going to get the file like you would from Tutela. If I click on the activity, or if I use the editing menu bar beside it, I can go to the edit settings page for the H5P. So I'm going to do that now. Now that I've opened the H5P in the settings page, you can see the package file. This is the file. And if I click on it, you'll see that the author is Paul Carter, not Beverly Davis. So when Beverly gets this into her course through the sharing cart, she won't be able to edit it because Paul Carter created it. What Beverly can do to get around that is she can download the file itself here. So I'm just going to show this process again. I'm going to go now, instead of on the main course page to edit settings, I'll go to the H5P itself. I can use this menu in the top right to go to the edit settings page for the H5P. Once I've got that open, I scroll down to package file and click on H5P, and then I use download. And you'll see that it's downloaded it here to my browser. That's great. I'm now going to cancel that, and I'm going to go into my other course. This is Link 56 PC. Now Beverly Davies is going to go into the Paul Sandbox course, which is here. And in this course, and I apologize for anyone who has to get to class or anything like that, I now have to click on my content bank. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to click on Content Bank for this course. So I'm going to go here to Content Bank. I could open it there, or you can also, if you prefer, you can add an H5P and then go to the Content Bank from the settings page when you add a new H5P. But for this example, I'm going to go straight to the Content Bank. And I wish I had thought to download a funny joke that I could tell you while we wait for that to load. Just remember again, everybody, that what's happening here is all those videos, all those audio files, all that text, all the images, all the different question types, all of that interactive, beautiful content that we have in those H5Ps has to load. And I'll tell you, this course is big. It's got all the preloaded activities that come with a 5-6 course, as well as all the test H5Ps that I've created over time. So it is a big content bank, and it does take a while to load. The best thing I can recommend is time your tea or your coffee with when you need your content bank. So when you click on this, you can then go and make yourself a fresh cup of tea, maybe get a little biscuit or something, come back to the computer, put your feet up, maybe change the music on the stereo if you like to listen to music. And then all of a sudden, just when you think it's never going to load, it's going to load. Do you ever do that? 3, 2, 1, load. It's coming. It really is coming. Remember, just to give you a review of what we're doing here, if I bring an H5P that another teacher created into my course through the sharing card or the import function or backup and restore, that other teacher will be the author and only they can edit it. So what I've done is I've gone into the settings for the H5P that teacher created. I've clicked on the file. I've downloaded it. You can see it's there in my browser. It's been saved for me in my downloads. If I wanted to find it, I could look there. And any moment now, this content bank is going to load. Just to give Avenue a little credit, I think because we're running video and audio through Zoom right now, it's probably using a lot of the bandwidth in my house. I am in a remote area, so we don't have the highest internet speed possible. And I would imagine that that's slowing down the loading time for this content bank. This isn't the best example, but it'll come any moment now, just when we least expect it. Vesna, did you have any funny jokes you could tell?
Oh, I am bad at telling jokes. I don't even dare.
I just thought of a great one, actually. Here we go. Why did the link teacher cross the street? To get
Hmm.
to the avenue. That's like the worst joke ever.
Oh,
Okay, I
that's a good one.
apologize. Okay, hopefully people are
Yeah.
laughing. They're laughing. They're
Yeah.
they're rubbing their eyes to get the tears out. Their cheeks are sore, and any minute now, come on, content bank. Wow, that's frustrating. I'm so sorry, everyone. I really do think it's the Zoom effect, though. My video is streaming, my audio is streaming. This is trying to load. I've got about 6 browsers going here with 20 tabs per browser. So there's a lot of things happening on my
And
device.
would it help if you stop sharing?
Boom, there we
Oh,
go.
oh,
Just when we
yeah,
thought it wouldn't load.
yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, now imagine that I had got this file from Tutela. The process is the same. I just got the file from the actual activity that the teacher created in the collaborative course. Now that I've got it saved in my browser, I can click on Upload. It's going to open this page for me. Very simply, I'm just going to drag and drop that file that was uploaded to my browser, drop it in there. I'm going to save changes. And this is now in my course, and I have the editing function. So I'm now able to change it. And if I was to add this to my course through the content bank and a new H5P and went to that same page where you can look at the settings, you would find that now Beverly Davies is marked as the author and she can edit it in her own course. So that's how to get those H5Ps and how to kind of work around that. Really quickly now, I'm going to go back to my other browser. The other question was about saving space on the course page. A lot of teachers have that question on the live help. They're frustrated by how much stuff there is on the course page. And you can see in my course, it's no different than anyone else's. It's full and full and full of stuff. There's a few things that you can do. One is to hide things and move them to the bottom of the course page if you don't need them, and then you don't have to scroll past them every time. Best thing to do is keep your current sections, the current material that you want to use, near the top of the course page so that you and your students don't have to scroll too far. For you, if it's hidden, you still don't have to scroll too far if you've moved it right to the bottom. Another option is to go into the course settings. Edit settings. This will open the course settings page. Vesna showed us that wonderful image for the course. You can add an image for your course here in course image. But what I wanted to show you here is course format. There's quite a few different formats. You can choose a weekly format or a topics format. Those are kind of the two that most link teachers use. They look different and they take up different amount of space on the course page. Then you can also choose how you want the hidden sections to be, collapsed form or completely invisible. That's for the student's view. Course layout, this one here, show all sections on one page or show one section per page. You can change that as well. If I change it to the weekly format, it's going to give me new options. Now I can choose things, hidden sections are shown in collapsed form. I'll click on that, and then I'm going to save and display, or save and return to the course. So having made a few changes to the course format there in my course editing page, the course settings page, where you go to edit the settings for the course, you can really change the look of your course and how it displays itself. So now it's going to look a little bit different here. Things are now labeled by weekly format. Okay. And the collapse form, I think I have to turn editing off for that. So let me just do that. Turn editing off. And now they're in this collapsed form so that if I want to see any of these sections, I need to actually click on them to open them up. This can kind of reduce the amount of space they take on the course page. There are other things you can do by changing the settings in your course settings to change how many things are on the page. The last thing I'd like to mention, I'll turn editing back on to show that. Again, if you'd like to set up an HTML block or a page resource, you can link to activities that you have hidden on the course page. So for example, if I had 5 review quizzes all in a row and I don't want them on the course page, I can use the editing function beside any activity or resource, like this quiz here. I can choose edit and then, oops, oh, maybe I can't because I've changed my course format. Oh dear, how embarrassing. I'm going to go to edit settings there. And in the common module settings, shown on course page, hide from students, or make available but not shown on course page. If I select that, make available but not shown on course page, and that again is for this test question bank sharing cart quiz, save and return to course. What's happened now is that for the students, in the students view, that activity will no longer be visible, but it's still available if I link to it. So I could put a link to this activity in an HTML block. So here you see available but not shown on course page. I could have put a link to it over here, like these links. Students click on the link and it will open the quiz, but they won't see it there in the section. So that's another way to reduce some space. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and come back. Vesna, I know you need to go.
Yeah, so
Just,
I'm gonna go. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Paul.
thank you, Vesna. Thank you for
There
sharing.
were a couple of questions in the chat box.
Perfect. Well, I'm in no
Yeah,
rush. When I log
yeah,
out of here, I have to go back to live help, so I'll answer
yeah,
them. But
yeah.
thank you so much,
Bye for
Vesna.
now. Take
Really
care.
appreciate it.
Take care, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. That's fantastic. It was really nice of Vesna to share all that with us. I'm going to scroll up just a little bit in the chat box to see if there's anything I can help with before we end things officially at maybe say 1:30. Um, I see a question here. If I want to move activities from a course to a completely empty shell to use with students, can I request a collaboration course for that purpose? Kevin, with that one, I'd suggest just requesting oh, but you want an empty shell, moving activities from course to course. Maybe check with your mentor or come to the live help. I'm not really sure the details on that one. There's a few questions I'd like to ask to understand better what you'd like to do. It loads even slower when you're sharing your screen. Thank you. That's very true. It did, didn't it? Oh, good. People are laughing at my joke, maybe. All right. Can you add another content bank when it gets to be this long to download content? I'm afraid not. What we are doing is we're addressing the server size, and I believe if our server can be bigger, that the content bank will be able to load faster. But again, it is related to how much is actually in there, and it's just a simple matter of those megabytes and gigabytes have to move through the ether, through a satellite, through your local tower, through the wire into your house, then probably through the Wi-Fi. So just through the air like magic, ones and zeros. What? And somehow that loads up all these amazing activities. So patience, I guess, maybe have another tab where you can do something else while you're waiting for the content bank to load. That's what I often do. I could be working on a quiz I'm building here while I'm waiting for it to load there. Just trying to sort of manage your time the best you can, knowing that it's going to take a moment to open. I see here. Any more questions? Yeah, collapsible topics are great. That can save a lot of space. Mm, Making it available but not on the course page doesn't affect its visibility in the gradebook, does it? I don't believe it does. No, no. If it's available and students can do it, it will appear in the grades. Is there a way to have the courseware in a content bank somewhere and we can use whatever we need from link 1 to 4 according to our class level? Um, That's a good question. I'll put that to the admin. I don't think that exists now, but what you can do now is contact your mentor if you'd like something from another level. You can also request multi-level courses to have all of the material for all of them, but then of course that's a huge course and will take time to load. But it is maybe a possibility that we could do that. I'm not sure. I don't think we have anything set up now. Did anyone else have any other questions? I think I've covered them all. If you'd like to go into the chat, if you have anything else you'd like to ask. I'm just checking here, make sure I didn't miss any. It looks pretty good. I think I've covered them all well. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. I'm sorry we went a little bit over time. I appreciate that some of you stayed on till the end. And thank you for your thank yous. Really nice to see. It's great to be able to help teachers at this time, and great that we can keep the students in class. Any way we have to do it, we'll do what we have to do, right? Yeah, thank you, everyone, and thank you all for coming. This session was recorded, so after I'm done here, I'm going to put the video together and we'll send it off to Jim and he'll put it up on YouTube. Should be there by tomorrow. I'll put a post in the teachers only forum to let you know that it's available. And we'll also share the links to all the various things we talked about today. There are help files for everything that we did. So we'll add those to the forum post and send it out. Thank you, everybody. Great to know that this was useful today. And I know she had to go because she's so busy, but big hats off to Vesna for sharing all of that to show us what's possible and what a school can do. Moving out of Avenue and back onto my street. Fantastic. Maybe I'll head to my street this weekend too, rather than the Avenue. We'll see. Great to see everyone. I'm going to end the meeting here in a moment, so I don't want to be rude, but thank you very much. And it was a pleasure to have you all here today. We'll see you on the Avenue. Have a great day. Goodbye, everyone.